Time to check in with Dr. Joe Schwarz. He is host of the Dr. Joe Show, of course, Sundays at 3 here on CJAD, and he is director of the McGill Office for Science and Society as well. So, Joe, I know we're going to talk about ice and all kinds of stuff and hockey rinks, but I want to ask a question. Lately, this is what I tend to do. You'll come on, and I'll hit you with something I saw on social media to do with food or God knows what, and just have you sort of weigh in. So the latest one, I actually saw two. One that went on about talking how wonderful steak was for you, like meat. And if you ate it every day and you can eat it 7 days a week and you can have it a couple of times a day and there's nothing better in the world for you. And then another one that basically had the exact same thing to say about eating eggs. So let's start with the first one, eating steak, eating meat. I thought the idea was we're supposed to be careful how much of this we eat, red meat in this particular case. What happened?
Yeah, well, it's 1 for 2 there. The eggs are okay, but the meat, that's very questionable. There are a lot of studies, unfortunately, because, meat tastes good, that are showing that meat is not the best thing to eat. And as I've, opined on many time, I don't think that we need to totally exclude it from our diet because life is about more than worrying about every morsel that we put into our mouth. Food is also a source of pleasure. But I think the evidence is really mounting that we should be cutting back on the amount of meat that we eat, and especially in the case of steak, because there we have the added issue of the steak being grilled, which produces a number of carcinogens. The heterocyclic aromatic amines, the polycyclic hydrocarbons, substances we've talked about before.
Oh, those.
These are known to be carcinogenic. And certainly boiled meat is safer than meat that is grilled at a high temperature. But I think the overall scientific consensus now is to limit the amount of meat. And certainly if you're going to eat meat, fish and chicken are to be preferred. Now for the eggs. Eggs, of course, have a checkered history because of the cholesterol content of the yolk. And as soon as you mention cholesterol, people are reviled because they associate cholesterol with heart disease, which is actually a reasonable association because we know that higher levels of cholesterol in our blood are a risk factor for heart disease. But the fact is that what causes our cholesterol levels in the blood to rise is not the cholesterol that is present in our food. It is mostly the fat content of the food that leads to high cholesterol in the blood. And again, the current scientific consensus is that there's no issue with eating 5 to 7 eggs a week. That is not going to have an impact on your blood cholesterol.
Well, whoa. This guy that I saw, Joe, is telling you to eat 5 a day.
Well, that's crazy.
Okay.
You shouldn't eat 5 of anything a day.
Fair enough.
Right? I mean, as we always say, you have to have some sense of moderation in the diet. But eggs are in fact quite low in fat, and they are high in protein. They can be part of a nutritious diet. The trouble is when you eat them with bacon, that's what shoots up your blood cholesterol. But just the eggs alone are fine, and I have no problem with eating 5 to 7 eggs a week.
Can I throw cheese in the mix?
You can throw cheese in the mix, yeah. You want to grill the cheese too?
No, I just want to eat it like, out of a package, but, just buy a piece of cheese and eat it, whatever you call it, raw. Just cut up a piece and eat it. Is that okay?
Great stuff. It's a great snack.
Okay.
And, but, again, it's different when you're eating a nicely made cheese like that, or if you are slobbering loads and loads of mozzarella on a pizza that is full of salt.
Okay.
So, again, the context matters.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for ruining that. Okay. Joe, the next thing I want to ask, I saw this too. We've often talked about soda versus diet soda, and I think your argument is usually, better the diet soda because there's so much sugar in soda we don't necessarily know or appreciate it. It's always a better choice. Then I read this time around, and we've talked about this before, but this time it's something called xylitol. I read about this a couple of days ago, suggesting this is one of the ingredients in diet soda. Now they find that it could be bad for your heart.
Yeah, well, most diet sodas do not contain xylitol. Most of them are based on aspartame or Splenda, that is sucralose. Xylitol is more likely to be found in some foods, in puddings and desserts, and also in chocolate bars, the so-called non-sugar chocolate bars. And the classic problem with xylitol has been that it causes diarrhea. But now there is also this issue of possible connection to heart disease, and it comes out of a rather questionable study where animals were fed very large doses of xylitol, much higher than anyone would be exposed to. So again, I don't think that the the average person has enough xylitol in their diet to be concerned about, but certainly not in diet drinks. It's not an issue in diet drinks. But as I've again said many times before, the best drink is water, and if you want some bubbles in it, drink sparkling water. And then we can forget about the debate between sugar-based soft drinks and artificially sweetened soft drinks.
Okay.
Forget both. Drink water.
Okay. Last thing, let's get to what you want to talk about. The history of air conditioning, something we're all talking about right now because it's so hot.
Yeah, and I tell you why I wanted to talk about that, because the Olympics are coming up, and France has decided no air conditioning in the Olympic Village because they're going to try to make this a green Olympics. And of course, air conditioning uses a lot of energy. There's no question about that. So instead, they're trying to cool the athletes' dorms with pipes in the floor that are going to have cooled water running through it. And the Americans are not happy about this. They're actually taking their own portable air conditioners along with them. But air conditioning is becoming a real issue because, of course, we're seeing climate change. 2023 was the hottest year on record. And there's just no question that every year we're seeing more and more catastrophic weather conditions, which are linked to global warming, and we're seeing hotter and hotter summers. And air conditioning is playing a bigger and bigger role, because we're also finding that when you are hot, there are all kinds of consequences. You become very irritable when you're hot. And studies have also shown that people do not think as clearly and as well when they are overheated, because the body, of course, tries to cool itself by sending more blood circulating towards the extremities, towards the skin, from where it can radiate heat. But that means less blood is being delivered to the brain. And blood delivers oxygen to the brain and it delivers glucose to the brain, both of which are needed for mental function. And studies are showing that in hot weather, people's brains do not function as well. So air conditioning plays a major role. In schools, for example, studies have shown that in schools where there's no air conditioning, students do more poorly on the PSAT, the test that is used mostly in the States to get into college. So air conditioning is going to play a bigger role, and it's a problem because of the energy use that is required. But when people get overheated, it is a risk of death. I mean, just last summer in France alone, 5,000 people died from overexposure to heat in the summer. So, we're looking at a real health situation here. And even though air conditioners are environmentally, unfriendly, but they're absolutely needed in order to make people essentially live, because it's a health risk. And, a couple of other interesting things is, blockbuster movies, which we're going to see this summer for sure. The reason that they are released in the summer is because historically, in the 1920s, air conditioners were first introduced into movie theaters. And that was the only place people could go to cool down in the summer. So the movie producers began to release their big hits in the summer to make sure that, they would attract people into the air-conditioned theaters, and the air conditioner worked to attract people.
There you go.
So to this day, we have blockbusters released in the summer.
Things you find out on this show, on this segment. Joe, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Aaron.
Enjoy your steak.
Yeah, rarely.